This February 16th, 2023 regular meeting of the Manchester Regional High School Board of Education is now called to order at 7:01. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. New Jersey Open Public Meeting announcement. New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Passaic County Manchester Regional High School Board of Education has caused this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 13th of 2023. Notice of this regular meeting indicating date, time, place were posted for public viewing and posted on all social media platforms within the MRHS community and with the clerks of the municipalities of Haledon, North Haledon, and Prospect Park. Now be it resolved that this virtual/in-person Board of Education meeting be recorded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eric? Mrs. Baez? Here. Mr. Barker?
Here.
Mr. D'Agostani?
Here.
Mr. Fisher?
Here.
Mrs. Gonzalez? Here. Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Mrs. Terramini?
Here.
And Mr. Panzara?
Here. Would someone like to move correspondence?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gonzalez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Gonzalez. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call.
Mrs. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostani?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Terramini?
Yes.
And Mr. Panzara?
Yes. At this time, we will have a presentation from our drumline.
So just in front of the microphone, so yes, I can do the records there.
Go.
And Jaden, just stay where the
See you all.
tenors bass is over here. Altos over here. Soprano ones, soprano twos, bass come all the way in. So just the two lines, just like we did in the classroom. Yeah, nice circle here. Yeah, so over here. Altos over here. Yep.
Just give me a second. They got kind of mixed up a little bit. But 50, F0YD8S, congratulations. 50 years. Can I get a hand clap? All right, we're going to do some songs today. There's not enough space here. Can the bass just go this way? All right. Good. Bass just go in front.
Where Heather at?
All right.
Heather!
All right. Small space, so we always got it. All right. So there we see. Congratulations for the years and New Year's. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I don't mind thanks you for everything that you did. All right.
Thank you, that was great.
All right.
The only thing I'm disappointed in, the last time I was this close to this drum line, Dr. Hernandez and my wife sat in and drummed with you.
Oh
So
boy.
maybe sometime in the future.
Most likely I was there too. Most likely I was there too. All right, folks, we're gonna leave you now. Walk out Thunderbolt, please. Click off.
Thank you.
All right, we have just a little bit more from the music department. This is what I have to deal with every day. So we're gonna sing a couple songs by Ray Charles, and then we're gonna follow it with a song called Kissing Moja. Yeah, I figured you might be a fan. And then we're gonna follow it with a song called Kissing Moja, which just translates from Swahili to "We Are One." Okay, starting with what did I say?
Every morning when the sun comes up, she brings me coffee in my favorite cup. That's how I know, yes I know. Hallelujah, I just love her so.
I'm in trouble and I have no friends. I know you'll go with me until the end. Everybody asks me how I know. I smiled at them and said he told me so. That's why I know, yes I know. Hallelujah, I just love her so. But if I call her on the telephone and tell her that I'm home alone, by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her knocking on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down, when there ain't nobody else around, she kisses me and she holds me tight. She tells me, baby, everything's alright. That's why I know, yes I know. Hallelujah, I just love her so. Hallelujah, I just love her so. Hallelujah, I just love her so.
I appreciate that. They probably did too.
They don't want me singing.
I doubt that.
long and hard to renovate that music room.
Absolutely.
You guys deserve it, and it's coming. Thank you so much. Thank you.
A few important recognitions, I think, before we excuse our wonderful students. First of all, what a way to open a meeting. To Tahim Evans and our drum line, thank you guys. I know the job you've done in growing that program is really admirable. Second, Miss Rachel Personera and the choir, thank you guys for coming out with such great numbers. And within our choir, we didn't get to recognize this the other day, but Mr. Chestnut, thank you for the Star Spangled Banner at the reorg the other day. I'm very thankful for that, I appreciate it. And Mr. Fisher, honestly, this is a thank you from the entire school district, from our student body, from our teachers, from our admin, and everybody. We thank you for everything that you've done over 50 beautiful years here at Manchester. We have a little token. Doesn't quite live up to 50 years, but I think deservedly so.
Thank you.
Put it on.
Hey, kids, now I got one too.
I'm so happy.
As we all get back to our seats, Matt, if you can play this one more time. This is also put together by our students. I have the notes over there, but Miss Marjorie Hernandez put this together with her students, and it's a wonderful recognition of this 50 years. They one of these great things. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you. So a special thank you to Margie Hernandez and our two seniors, Christina Fuentes and Haley Pagano. Really, the students and the staff came together for all these special thank yous. Jeff, of course, the district cannot repay 50 years of volunteer service, but this is just a little token from all of us to you. We thank you. And I know there's a lot of special guests here. I'll turn everything over to Mr. Panzera.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. is Ray here? Let's see him. Oh, okay. Instead of Ray. Sure.
Hello. My name's Ray Padilla with New Jersey School Board Association. I'm representing the State Association. The executive director couldn't be here, but we have our media past president. I don't know if he's on separate than me. I'm not sure.
He's after you.
He's right after me. Okay, good. But I know the officers wanted to congratulate you. Jeff did lie to me because over a year ago. I said, are you gonna go for 50 years? He said, no way, 49, that's it. And the next thing I know, he's on the ballot and winning the election. I did, before I give him this plaque on behalf, I did think about how long 50 years has been. And I did some research. In 1973, it was the invention of the first cell phone. It was about this big. The video game that was big was called Pong. I don't know if any of you were old enough, but it was basically a ball that went across and there were two blocks on the end. And that was really exciting to most of us at that time. It seems crazy now. It was also the time for the first personal computer. It was invented in 1973. In 1973, Roe v. Wade. I think we're coming full circle. And also there was the big thing in sports was the battle of the sexes, Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. And I thought about how much the world has changed in 1973, but the only thing that hasn't really changed over that time frame has been Jeff's commitment to the children of Haledon and Manchester. He's been through, I can't even count the number of governors and commissioners of education, and he has influenced not just the kids in here, but statewide. He's been a mentor to a lot of board members across the state. So he has influenced kids that he would never even see with his leadership. So on behalf of New Jersey School Board Association, I have a plaque for you. I know you had 2 million plaques, and I know you didn't want another one, but it's 50 years. But what I do also have for you though is, you don't have this, it's a 50-year lapel pin for 50 years of service. This is the largest one we have, so if you go 55 or 60, I don't know. I'll give you a 320 one, three together, okay? But also personally, I want to thank you for your friendship. We've worked together at the Passaic County School Board Association, New Jersey School Board Association for 25 years, and I've always considered him a friend, and Ellen as well. You guys have been committed to this community, and that's something that definitely needs to be recognized, so thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
I have to say, can I get my picture taken with them? I have my own phone, you know.
Please.
We've come a long way since 1973. I got it. Because I have to.
I want to get paid, you have a picture. You're not getting it.
I'll say my thank yous at the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael McClure, former president of the NJSBA.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate getting the time to speak. I want to say Jeff was a mentor of mine when I went to New Jersey school boards back 10, 11, 12 years ago. He said, come on, man, run for office, you know? So I'm blaming him for where I'm at today. 10 years later, I'm still an executive committee, but he's been a great mentor. He's been great for the kids of the whole state, along with your Manchester Regional High School. He's helped every kid in the state, you know, all 1.2 million kids. He's been a flags down there for us. We drug him back in recently. He's on another committee. So as long as he's on your board, we're going to keep dragging him back in for committees because you can't get that kind of knowledge. 50 years of knowledge is unbeatable. And he's been a good mentor, best friend, and I'm here to honor that.
Thank you. This guy drove 2 hours and 10 minutes to get here. Okay, all the way from Maple Shade, which is in South Jersey by Cherry Hill. Oh, here comes Ray now. Ray, make sure you give my son their phone number so you can get the picture.
One last thing, the other officers wanted to be here as well. Bruce, which is our VP for county activities, really wanted to be here, but he's sick right at the time. He couldn't make it because he's not feeling well. And the other 2 of our officers plus our director is in the task force meeting, so.
And actually, Karen was able to make our reorg.
Yep,
So
she was here.
that was
Thank
nice
you
of
so
her.
much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make some honorable mentions of former Superintendent Dr. Hernandez is here as well. Current Mayor Michael Johnson. Former Mayor and friend Ken Penjator. Former Board Member Cindy Fusco. I can't forget former Board Member and former President Ellen Fisher. And former Board Member Jeff's brother, Brian Fisher.
And
Who I missed?
John Caslander,
And former Board Member.
both hailed in Manchester.
Yep.
Oh,
John
and
Caslander.
former board member and board president, Mr. Al Portella. Is Uncle Mark here? Uncle Mark, also, I think, both hailed in and Manchester. Last second.
That's why we keep him around. He knows everybody.
Wait a second. We got former Hailden President Joyce Smith, 20 years on the board. 27 years.
So a special thank you to all our students for taking the time to come out tonight. Our staff members that we had mentioned for their hard work, Marjorie Hernandez, Rachel Personaire, and Tahim Evans English for organizing the kids for this wonderful performance. And as I've said before, Jeff really is always all about the kids. Everything he does is for them. So having them come out to recognize his 50 years of service is just beautiful to see. And I thank everyone that is here for coming out. But there's some folks that really helped organize, and of course, his wife Ellen Fisher, thank you. Nancy, Gabriel, thank you so much for putting everything together. And of course, Jen Moser, we couldn't have put all this together without all of your organizational skills. So thank you guys for putting this together.
At this time, I'll open up for public comment. If anybody else wants to say anything, feel free.
And then I do.
And then, yeah, and then Jeff. Please, go ahead.
I'm gonna be the official family spokesperson.
Thank you.
I'm gonna embarrass my dad for a minute. Well, a couple of things. First, I'm a teacher, for those of you who don't know, and there are a lot of reasons. Thank you for those of you who are clapping over there, because some of the reasons why I'm a teacher are sitting right over there. But one of the biggest reasons why I'm a teacher is my dad. He's shown me literally since birth the commitment of education. So here's where I'm going to embarrass him. He can tell you a ton of facts about Hailden Public School, and he can tell you a ton of facts about Manchester. Dad, can you tell everybody the graduation date of the class of 1984?
Yes, June 22nd, 1984. You're the day, an hour and a half after you were born.
An hour and a half after I was born, my dad was right down there on the field at graduation. And yes, my mom did say it was okay.
But I went right back to the hospital.
Yes, it was the 80s. She said it was fine. But I just wanted to say that not only has my dad affected lives of countless Manchester students and Hailden students, he's affected the lives of all of my students, because I wouldn't be a teacher without knowing about education through him. The good, the bad, the ugly of education, I've heard all of it from him, and I still decided to be a teacher and go into the second family business. The other thing I want to say is, Dad, I didn't really know this until recently, that for those of you that don't know, there is an official family business, and that is being a florist. And the second busiest flower holiday is Valentine's Day. My dad was sworn in on the night before Valentine's Day. How did Grandma let you leave the shop? Uncle Brian, maybe you can help me out with this. How did she let you leave on the night before the second busiest flower holiday to go get sworn in?
Correction. The election was the night before.
The election, okay.
Okay, but that meant that I was working at the shop and running people to the polls all at the same time.
Okay, well, there you go.
I was sworn in the next week. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Dad, for all you've done for everyone. and for all the nights that you've been here and the dedication that you've been here for, to make the school not only great for me and for Ben, but to make the school great for our friends, for our family, and for all the students in Manchester. So thank you.
Jeff, are you shrinking?
Yes, I am. About an inch.
Yeah, your children are both taller than you.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right. This time we'll break for a quick recess.
can I-
Oh, yeah, Jeff,
Okay.
sorry, whoops.
You guys did a great job planning this, and I know you try to keep it a secret. And you did a pretty good job, but it slipped here and there. So unfortunately for you, I had the opportunity to just prepare a few thoughts. Because I'm not big on surprises, and I'm not big on being the center of attention. But I didn't want to see this gathering of people without just saying a few things. First of all, I want to thank NJSBA and all of the members and the officers and Ray and Mike, for coming. I think you all know my love of that association from the June of that 1973 when I went to Princeton to the Nassau Inn for my first board member orientation training weekend, and I've never stopped since. I'm taking next Monday or the Monday after, I'm taking my Gov4 training again, But I want to thank you all, especially Mike, for coming that far. It's not been about, a lot of people, Dr. Feinside used to talk about the length of service, the youngest this, we held these offices, county president, state president, this, that, and the other. It's never been about that for me. It's always just been about wanting to be the best board member I could be in order to contribute to the success of my districts, Haledon and Manchester, and to the state and county associations. And like real estate is location, location, location. For school board members, my fellow ones here and future ones, it's training, training, training. My transcript at NJSBA is a mile long from the meetings that I've attended and I continue to go to. And I just think that's, and as I think somebody mentioned, I'm going to be in Trenton next Wednesday for a dues reassessment committee. It's appropriate at this time always in situations to thank the family for allowing me the time to come and do this. Fortunately for me, I had a dad who served on the Haledon board, a brother who served on the Haledon board, Brian, my brother Ben served on this board all before me. So it was kind of like, I don't want to say a family tradition, but I knew what it was about. And then, of course, I wasn't kind of walking out of the house and leaving my wife and kids because for 21 years, my wife was here with me. 16 of those years, she had a gavel to keep me quiet. That was and Laura and Jeffrey Ben attended their first NJSBA convention when Laura was 6 and Jeff was 3. And loved the ice cream party at the pool. And they were both student reps on this board, as Sampson is now. So it's been a family thing, and without everybody's support over these years, none of this would be possible. 2023, for me, is the year of the zeros. 50 years since my first election. Next month, I'm going to celebrate a birthday with a 0 on it. We won't say which one. And in July, my wife Ellen and I will be married 40 years. So we've got a lot of zeros. I want to thank all of the board members that I'm currently serving with and that I have served with. Many of my friends and family became board members. But more importantly, many of my fellow board members have become friends and like family. And that's important, that we continue to think that way and we work that way. So I just want to thank you for that. NJSBA, we always talk about how, as much as Mike and I and some of the other, and the officers and the people that are involved in the board of directors, you know, we all acknowledge that the real work is done by the staff. The staff at NJSBA that provides the training and the legal services and all of the other things that they give us. And the same is true in the local districts. We can sit here, we can adopt budgets and do all kinds of things. But it's the staff, it's the superintendent, it's the administration, it's the custodians and the cafeteria workers and the security and the clerical and especially the teachers that do the hard part. And they are the superstars that are putting into effect what we set the broad outline for. And it's that day-to-day work that makes this job exciting. One of my proudest moments ever on any school board I've been on is when I get to vote on appointing an alumni of this school as a teacher. That's a great moment. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity in the past couple of years to go to what's maybe even a better moment, and that is to appoint one of those alumni who's a teacher to be an administrator. And they, John Danton a few years ago, it just makes me so proud to see the students of this district, like my daughter, commit themselves to being educators and to want to make the school better. So I thank you all for that. I was going to read you a quote from Judge Redden, but I'll spare you that, which describes to me a board member and what our role is. But we all know that there are good times, there are bad times, there are ups, there are downs. We do a lot of things, we don't get a lot of thanks. Sometimes we get criticized. And we all do it for like, I mean, it's a great job. Our pay doubles every year. 0 times 0 times 0 times 0. But in closing, Ray, real quick, 10 presidents, 11 senators, 12 governors, 19 commissioners, I can't count the superintendents, and 6 major funding formulas. From Nixon.
But who's counting, right?
But who's counting? And a lot of that is thanks to an old friend of yours, Mikey Apple, at the department.
Oh.
He helped me put that together. In closing, I just want to say one thing about a gentleman who started me off, my first superintendent, who is still alive, still around in Franklin Lakes. And I have to say, unfortunately, many have tried, many have come close, but he was the best. And he sat me down before my first board meeting, and he said to me, okay, Jeff, well, I'm going to ask you one question. And I want you to ask yourself this question every time they do a roll call and they call your name. So probably for several thousand roll calls over the 50 years, 23 or 24 years on the Halden board, and now 30 years here. The reason it's more than 50 years is because I served on both for a few years. But he told me to ask myself this question, and if I could answer it honestly, he would be okay. And that was, as long, Jeff, as when you vote for what's best for the boys and girls of Halden, and now the young men and women of Manchester. We'll get along. And we did. Ray and I became best friends. And to this day and tonight, as my name is called, I will think in my mind that question. What's best for the boys and girls, the young men and women of Manchester? Because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for as a board, the administration, the staff. We're here for those kids and nothing more. Not for the accolades, not for anything else. And since my granddaughters are getting antsy and want to go home, I'm done. But I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you.
We'll break for a quick recess. If you'd like to leave, feel free. If you'd like to stay, be our guest. Thanks. Okay, I'll take a motion to reconvene. Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Baez. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce Visions Business Academy. They'll be doing a presentation this evening.
All right, and a little background, just so everybody understands, we've been talking with Vision. We came in contact them, thankfully, to Ms. Baez. But Visions has partnered with many schools in upstate New York mainly, and is starting to trickle down here into New Jersey, and setting up branches here in actual schools. They'll talk about all the benefits, so I won't steal their thunder, but we're very excited about this potential opportunity, and we want to bring it to the board, so if you had any questions, you could ask it. I'm going to turn it over now to Dan.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm Dan Spence, and this is Matt Kislowski, my colleague from Visions Federal Credit Union. And as Mr. Labisco had mentioned, we've talked about the opportunities that Visions offers for in-school branch and internship programs that we offer currently to several high schools. As mentioned, we're headquartered in upstate New York, but we have several branches across the northern tier of New Jersey. We actually have had a high school branch in Leonia High School in Bergen County for the last 3 years now. And have another one that's going to be opening later this year, as well as the possibility of a partnership with Manchester High School to offer, again, internship programs, financial education, which Matt's going to dive into the details of the program and what opportunities for internships are offered to students, what financial wellness programs and supplemental programs can be offered in class for students, families, faculty members, anyone really that could benefit from financial education. So I'll turn it over to Matt to go through a slide deck, and then we'll open it up for a few questions. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as he mentioned, I'm Matt Kislowski. I'm the Financial Wellness Manager at Visions Federal Credit Union. And really one of the big things is it's the easiest way to describe it as an in-school branch. Truly what, I've tried to rebrand this as is truly a financial wellness center. That's really what it's about, and I'll go through some slides just to introduce that a little bit further, what that may look like as far as internships. But it's not just for the interns, it's not just for members, it's for everybody. And that's really what I'm tasked with, is getting that financial education out to the community. Because as a community organization, if we have stronger community members, it's going to benefit everybody. So that's truly what we're looking to do. And this is really a program to really strengthen the personal finance and financial literacy in the community. So in financial wellness, really what we deal with is our one-on-one financial counseling program, which is available to anybody. It's also, we do seminars and workshops on different personal finance topics. But truly what this internship is, it's about being able to give students the opportunity to build career readiness skills and get workforce ready, because young professional retention is something that's really, really important to all communities. And we want to set our students up, the future generations up to truly succeed in that. So back in the day, what the in-school program was really transactional. It was teaching students how to build those skills of a teller per se, and use that as a foot in the door to maybe get a job at a financial institution. And that was all well and good. It was in the realm of student development. That was something that was very important. But that evolved, and as that evolves, we wanted to evolve with that. So it's not just about learning those teller transactions. It's more about building those career readiness skills, those general, how do you build a resume? How do you do interviews?
and just teaching them what opportunities are out there for them, not just at financial institutions, but across the board in their community. What are they interested in? What are their strengths? How can we optimize what they're doing well to set themselves up for success? So really, that's how it's evolved over time. It essentially starts and ends with that student development. So we have the opportunity for internship programs. We also have the opportunity to push into different classrooms because our curriculum aligns with the state curriculum. We want to be a supplement to the school, what's being taught to the students, because quite honestly, we're seeing in different areas, there are people that get through college that don't know how to write a check. And granted, things like checks aren't used as much as they used to be, but there are just those introductory skills in personal finance that aren't being taught that much. And we want to supplement and help the school systems as much as we possibly can. That's truly what we're trying to do. So again, this kind of goes through what it was versus what it's turned into. So that Business Academy is that internship program that is a really intensive, how to get these students career ready or whatever they choose to do next. Is it preparing for college? We do a lot with FAFSA. We do a lot with how do you properly negotiate a job offer if you're going into the workforce? Or maybe you want to join the military. What does that look like? How does budgeting for these certain situations that you're setting yourself up for, how is this going to implement into your life? One of the things I'm always talking about also is retirement. You know, the average age somebody starts a retirement account is around 31 years old. If we can get students to start thinking farther ahead, that's going to set them up in a really good situation. And it's all about strengthening our community. That's what we really want to do. And then as a supplement to this, that supplements the state curriculum, we partner with Zogo. It's a financial literacy app and web platform that is really passive learning. So it's just one of the tools that we use to really strengthen that financial literacy aspect, career readiness skills. And that's really the complete package of what we're trying to do. So right now, I'll open it up to questions. I want to keep this somewhat brief and really dive into what questions there are or what you want me to dive deeper into.
I know Jeff got a question.
No, because Gary mentioned, I think, when he first brought this up, that the educational training for like the interns wouldn't be limited to basic teller operations and so forth, that other careers, like financial advisor and so on and so forth, would be something that would be available.
Absolutely. So that's something that I felt very, very strongly about that we needed to do a better job at, was because I used to push into schools a lot. I used to be a teacher in New York, and you ask students what opportunities there are in different fields. Just as an example, because this is where I am now, is if you ask them what is working at a financial institution work, you come up with teller, lender, branch manager. You run out of options. So being able to bring in financial advisors, web designers, advertisers, people that do lending, financial education, community development. It's really important to introduce what skills are needed out there. So it really is a full introduction on what are your opportunities, what are you interested in, and how can that fit into these other professions that you might be interested in pursuing. So it really isn't just teller transactions. It really isn't just what other jobs are there in the bank. It's really more along the lines of how can we get you where you want to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
How many kids or how many students do we see going through this program? Or how many do you have like at Leonia?
Yeah, so in Leonia, we have about 5 with the newer style where it's not just the teller transactions. We really can go up to 15, but also in other schools, we're looking at implementing like a financial literacy club that can involve more students as well. Because what we're seeing in other schools is in one school, currently we just rolled out our application for going through the whole internship program. One school got 75 applicants. So we were thinking, well, we can't fit 75 students in this room, but how can we help them and get them a piece of this? So there are options for clubs, things like that can fill some of those voids. So we can go up to 15 generally, and we're definitely looking to explore what we can do more and utilizing some of our branch partners, some of our other back office partners on what more can we offer the students.
That's great. I was thinking clubs as well.
Absolutely.
As well as maybe education on the FAFSA and things of that nature.
I was just gonna bring that up.
That's a big one.
So FAFSA in both English and Spanish support is available. We talked about that, but then also co-teaching or lesson-based teaching when it comes to our financial literacy and our business classes. We'll partner with entrepreneur class, our accounting class, financial literacy, and come in and provide lessons and support in those areas as well.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Now, the one thing I think my board, I might have told them last time, but just to reinforce is, what does it look like in terms of in the building? How do we get that space available? And then who's in that space? I think they need to know that.
Yeah, so really we want it to be as non-invasive as possible. You know, the older style was come in, build out a standard teller line look, but really we do like this space to look more like almost a casual classroom where students can come in, they can learn, they can see the ins and outs of what this is. So really it's not that intensive as far as space goes and what it looks like. But we would have somebody that's a full-time team member that would be here that can really be a utility player for you all where you would need them to help push into classrooms and speak on personal finance, or to facilitate a club, or to kind of come up with projects and work with other clubs on maybe fundraising, things like that. So we really want to be a part of the school community. I think that's so important. If we want to make an impact, we want to be, one, non-invasive, two, we want to be a true piece of the school community, and three, we want to be able to properly identify opportunities where we can be of more assistance.
Will they be able to do transactions in the school?
They would be able to, really the newer style, everything is about kind of what does the branch of the future look like? So, you know, the question often comes up as far as, you know, well, if there's no teller line, what if I want to cash a check? In certain opportunities, that is an option, because we would have an ATM on site where our staff member, if it's something like a payroll check or a check that's good, they would be able to remove a hold and you can essentially just cash a check that way.
And we also discussed preparing the space. They would, it wouldn't be the district's cost there, which, you know, is pretty awesome. The individual at station here is also not the individual's responsibility, and the internship can be paid or unpaid. So those are all things that we can explore. And we think that's pretty exciting potentially for our students to have a paid internship opportunity.
Yeah, and the other nice opportunity regarding the space is in enrolling in other student skills. We like the space to integrate with the school. So usually what we do is some sort of a competition for designing the artwork in the branch, or painting the branch as some sort of an art project, and then we usually pay you know, a scholarship to the individual that design is chosen, and give them the opportunity to paint the branch and put an amazing design that's going to you know, really coalesce with the vibe of the school. So it's just other opportunities, as well as we offer several scholarship opportunities, not just for student interns, but also anyone in the school is able to apply for our various scholarships that we give away. And that also works for teachers as well. We offer a program that's called Visions Loves Educators, and we set aside tens of thousands of dollars each year, where faculty members can write in a short little essay or you know, blurb about what it is they need for their classroom. Maybe they need a MacBook, or they need an iPad, or some other item. They can submit that, and we funded, I don't know, was it $30,000 or so of those projects last year. So there's a lot of opportunities, not just for the students, but also for the faculty, to really, again, help us to build a partnership, a relationship with the school.
That's great. Questions?
How does the supervision work as far as when the interns are in with their staff person?
Certainly, they would have to have the same clearance and threshold that we would for any employee here.
Okay, but they're not an employee, and they might not be certified people, so are we required to have?
Sub-cert is the manual we're looking at.
Okay.
And yeah, we're developing how best to certify that person so they can.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, one more thing that the board does need to know, it's important because it's fiscal in nature. The cost to the district.
Nothing.
How about the internship?
I didn't ask you.
Would it be district paid or bank paid?
That's us.
What is?
Yep.
All we need is the space to be provided for us, and then we take it from there.
And, you know, we're working out the back ends of what a potential contract is looking like, and then that'll be the next time we bring it up to the board. We have a potential proposal if the board's interested in us pursuing.
Cool, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, guys.
Very much
Take care.
appreciate it.
Congratulations also, by the way.
Thanks. Sorry I made you guys wait.
No, never.
I think we've often done it, a straw poll, make sure the board wants me to continue the conversation again. Yeah.
I'll take a straw poll on whether we'd like to continue this
Potential partnership.
Thumbs up from Jeff, Mr. Agasani, Ms. Baez.
Yes. All right, absolutely. I'll get a contract drawn up, and if we're in agreement, we'll move forward. And it would start next year.
Yeah, I'm going to ask her
We should
to.
also look at other even district paid internships for some of these kids.
Ms. Termanini,
Absolutely.
if you're there, are you
Some
in?
work.
They don't want
I
to forget
agree.
you there.
Oh, somebody else was.
Yeah, she said yes as well.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
Do it some of the virtual.
without further ado, this person is no stranger to the district, and happy to welcome back Ms. Kathy Hellowa for our annual ethics and Robert's Rules training.
Okay, I do have one of my famous PowerPoints here, so how do I, hello, how are you? Thank you very much. So, thank you so much for having me out here. I am going to lull you all off to sleep after that drumline performance and all of the emotional tributes to Jeff, but I do appreciate the time spent here. And what I've been invited to do is to talk to you about super important topic, school ethics. I sent it in advance, so is it here or shall I send you? I think I have a flash drive with me that might have it on it, so let's do that. Oh, that's it, that's it. Ethics for school officials, that's it. All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And how do I project it? Jeff, I think you could present this by now. All right. Fancy. Okay, so this computers and who do I use? Like this. Oh, okay, I think I've got this. Thank you very much. Tech help is awesome. So this is not legal advice, but it is as boring as legal advice. In some cases, I will try to keep you awake, but you will all have electronic copies of the entire presentation. I am not going to take more time than I need, but I do think that this is a super important, in fact, I know it is. This is, we've heard about different opportunities for your students just before me. This is what you can do for your students, is to abide by the Code of Ethics and the School Ethics Act. It's a job description. It is your best friend as a board member. It holds you accountable to your students, right, who are counting on you to do a good job. Jeff, you know, all of the children that you have served, you wouldn't have been able to do it quite as effectively if there was no standards for the job description. It gets amorphous, right? It can be pretty difficult to navigate when you're in the weeds of governance. moments, right? When the community is coming up to you, when you're presented with some really passionate issues, stick to this code of ethics, stick to the School Ethics Act. You will be doing your job the right way. And that's what all of the students for 50 years have counted on Jeff to do and counted on this board to do now. We'll count on these boards to do in the future. So important stuff, but I'm not a lawyer, okay? And for the best advice on the School Ethics Act, ask your lawyer. However, as your field service rep for NJSBA, I am very steeped in this stuff, so I'm very comfortable answering your questions. If I can't get an answer for you, NJSBA will, or our legal attorneys, or your own attorney. It is a team sport. It is a team sport. You also have a real strong administration here. You've got a great board president, a great board secretary. Everyone is on your team. We all want you to succeed because it's all about service, which is a really noble calling. And to serve society, for you guys to do it right, for all of us to do it right. It is a piece of legislation. And when I give you your electronic packets, 9 pages of that is going to be the entire School Ethics Act. You should read it. It's a law that you are accountable to. It is the law for school board members. There is, if you mess up and someone calls you out on it, then there's consequences to the district, real consequences, besides all of the emotional consequences and the stress that that you'll be going through, right? But that's the negative way of looking at it. The positive way of looking at it is that this piece of legislation, this law that's just unique to school board members, is going to help you engage and sustain the trust of the people who put you on the dais, right? And even avoiding the justifiable impression that you may be out of line with the code of ethics, right? So there's a bunch of parts to it. You'll notice that it talks about conflicts of interest and disclosure statements. That's for all school officials. But for school board members, there is a code of ethics, which we'll delve into a little bit deeper, and your mandatory training. So all of that comes from the Act. Now let's see if I can advance, further here. Tricky stuff. All right, so all of this business is part of the school. You'll see it when you read it. The School Ethics Commission, here's 9 people, supposed to be. I think there's 8 on there now. Jeff, do you know, for all of your numbers, how long it's been since we've had a 9-member School Ethics Commission? It has been
25 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time. However, there is a certain number of people on the Ethics Commission appointed by the governor who meet in Trenton or virtually monthly, and all they do is hear about bad school board member behavior. So we want to keep you off of their agenda. They issue advisory opinions, which is the good twin, and ethics complaints, which is kind of the bad twin. Advisory opinions are advice. If you are not sure if your conduct as a board member is jiving with the code of ethics, there's something in front of the board, you don't know if you should vote on it, you may be conflicted, your attorney's not real sure, I don't know, right? You ask the School Ethics Commission for advice. It's never punitive, it's just a letter to them asking what should I do, they tell you in the form of another letter back, and it's all good. On their website, there is a list of published advisory opinions. Those are a fantastic resource for all board members, new and seasoned, because as the commission issues ethics to individual board members, it may in its wisdom think, you know what, other boards could use this advice as well. So let's publish it, we scrub it, you don't know who's asking for it, but the advice in it is solid and it helps your attorney, your field service rep, kind of determine which way the ethics commission might go on a particular issue. So that's the good animal. The bad animal are the ethics complaints. And whereas only you or a fellow school board member can ask for an advisory opinion, anyone can file ethics charges against you. Anyone. It could be a fellow school board member, it could be a teacher, it could be a good governance watchdog, it could be anyone. It's a wide net. And that's when you've done something wrong, or you've made somebody angry, right? You've made someone angry. These are long and protracted processes. It was when I was at work, when we were at workshop, this past October in a small group session, one of the participants had been subjected to an ethics complaint. She was the target. And she was talking about how difficult that was and what a toll it took on her. It also comes with a fair amount of public embarrassment too. So again, I know this is not the most exciting stuff, but believe me, once you get slapped with an ethics complaint, life gets very exciting very fast and not in a good way. And it's embarrassing for the entire district too. As you can see by looking at the school ethics webpage, they also have all of their ethics complaints and decisions on there. And unlike the advisory opinions, they don't scrub. You see every wart and freckle on those ethics complaints, and they can be very embarrassing, right? They can be very, eye-opening too. So we want to keep you out of ethics complaint lands. However, this is the only method that we have, and when I say we, I mean everybody in the state, to police board member behavior. I'm not the police, I have no authority, right? But the Ethics Commission does. So if you do something wrong or something questionable and someone is upset by it, right, and they think you're hurting kids or hurting your board, their hands are, this is the only way to go. This is the only group that they can complain to, right, or take their case to. And there are penalties involved if you are found to have violated the School Ethics Act. You can go anywhere from a reprimand, which is a letter, an actual letter from the Commissioner of Education that says that you've been bad, all the way up to removal. You could get kicked off the board. A couple things in between, right? Censure, the board president has to read from the dais how bad you are, gets in the minutes. Suspension, you can be kicked off your board for a little while. And that typically comes down to either violating what a conflict of interest might be, not doing your training, not doing your income disclosure form, or violating the code of ethics. Now the conflict of interest stuff, this is lifted right from the law, from A all the way to J. These things are very fact sensitive, so I'm not going to spend any time on this really. If you think that you may have a conflict, ask your school attorney. Some of these things seem pretty obvious, right? Financial gain, easy, right? You don't want to do that. But what exactly is, service that may prejudice independent judgment? I'm not sure, but your attorney will help you with that. Most of the time it has to do with where you work or where members of your immediate family work. And that has consequences for you, especially if they work in education, right? If they work in the school district. How do I get to the next slide here? Let's see. Let us see. I wonder if I can.
We have a lot of tech guys here.
Very true.
All right, let's see. That looks good. That looks promising. Nope.
Yeah, actually, down arrow.
Yeah. I know I need. How did you do this? Like this too. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you have an immediate family member who works in the district, right? That has consequences for you. If you have a relative who works in the district, that has consequences to you. What does that mean exactly? An immediate family member is someone who lives in your household. It's either your spouse or your dependent child. That's it. My dad is not my immediate family member because he lives in another house, but he is a relative. All it says spouse, civil union, domestic partner, blah, 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 stepbrother, niece, all of that. That's the big bucket. That's the relative. There's also others may be here. An ex-spouse could be determined as a relative. Again, these things can get very fact sensitive, so get your attorney involved here. But if you have someone belonging to you, right, relative or immediate family member who works in the district, nothing to do with the superintendent's contract or compensation, anything like that, right? You're out from start to finish. You also cannot hire a relative. Your superintendent can't even recommend a relative for hire except in very, very narrow circumstances in which the executive county superintendent has to sign off on it. And even in the pandemic we haven't seen many of those. So you got somebody belonging to you working for Manchester Regional, you're out of anything that has to do with renewing your superintendent's contract or miracles or anything like that. And when it comes time to collective bargaining, if you have anyone who works in the district, you're out of that completely from start to finish. If you yourself or an immediate family member works, let's say in the union in Cedar, you work for Cedar Grove Public Schools, right? You're a teacher there. You are out of negotiations until the final memorandum of agreement is reached, the salary guides, then you're back in for the last vote. But if you've got somebody belonging to you, that big bucket, the relative work somewhere else, you're most likely in from start to finish. Notice the little asterisk there, absent another conflict, right? So if your niece is the head of the teachers union's negotiations committee in Cape May, that might conflict you. Keep track of where your relatives work and what their union activity is, because you want to protect the integrity of that collective bargaining agreement once it's finished, right? And there may be other conflicts. When you're formally endorsed by the teachers union, common wisdom is that you have to sit out the next round of negotiations. But there's a very interesting case on the commission's website. It's an advisory opinion, actually, A10-18, wherein a union endorsed a candidate who was not willing to accept the endorsement. He was running unopposed. He was a member of the negotiations committee. It was long, protracted negotiations that weren't quite amicable, and they insisted on endorsing him. And he said, I don't need it, no thank you. But they did anyway. They didn't give him any money, right? And when he won, because there was no other name on the ballot but him, he said, oh, we're so sorry. You can't be on the negotiations commission at all. You can't even participate in negotiations. You can't vote on the contract, sorry. He said, oh, I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right to me. And the commission said, actually, no, you're not conflicted. You can be a part of it. Nice try, union, but it's not going to work. And it seemed to hinge on the fact that no money was exchanged, which was very interesting to me. So that makes for some really interesting reading. It kind of calls into question what an endorsement actually is. Fascinating stuff, if you're kind of nerdy like me. There's over the past couple of years, a few advisory opinions have been published on the topic about who can participate in negotiations and who can't. So I'm not going to go through those. You can just kind of read those yourself when you get a moment. And a couple more, also going to be in your packet. Let's see. I'm going to test my skills here with this. Oh, here we go. Look at this. All right, and now we get to my favorite part. The code of ethics, right? This goes from A to J. This is really the heart of what being a school board member is all about. This is your job description, and this is just for school board members. Because the School Ethics Act also, the disclosure statements and the conflicts apply to administrators too, but this is just for us as school board members. Going from A to J. A is should be so easy, right? I will uphold all of the laws of the state, all of the regulations of the State Board of Education. If the court tells us to do it, we're going to do it, right? I shouldn't really have to spend a lot of time on this, but when the State Board of Education tells boards to do something, you have to do it. And I'm really happy to be able to say that in public because there is some confusion on the part of the public as to what boards can and can't do. But if the Board of Education the state board tells you to do something, that's something you have to do. A couple of years ago when executive orders were coming out, when they had the force of law, that was a difficult spot for school board members to be in because communities didn't necessarily understand the force of an executive order. That's the law, and school board members have to follow the law. Otherwise, you're at odds with the code of ethics. Moving forward, let's see if I can keep going. It's moving. I apologize, friends. Well, it seemed to move a little bit. Oh, let's try this one. Is this B? Yes, B. This is, Jeff, you said this much more beautifully than I ever could. You guys are here to make decisions in the best interest of your children, all children, right? Not just your own, not just a particular subgroup, all of the children in your school district. That's my favorite one. That's a beautiful thing. That's a noble calling. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're not on the town council, right? As good as it is to serve in public office, this office is truly noble because you're working on behalf of all the children in your district. And I think your superintendent from days gone by put it really beautifully, and I think I'm gonna steal that. If you don't mind. C continues the job description, policy making, planning, and appraisal, right? That's what we do. We're the high-minded people, right? We are the ones that set the lofty goals in the terms of our policy, right? In the terms of planning, our budget, right? We vote on that. We vote on our strategic plan. We make sure that that's in place. We hold the superintendent accountable for that in the form of appraisal, the annual superintendent evaluation. You guys get to do that, right? And that's what our job is. Public comment takes care of framing policies after hearing from those who are affected by them. And D is a real important one, right? We are not running the schools, but together with our fellow board members, making sure that the schools are well run. The day-to-day is not our job. We have administration to take care of that for us. We continue the job description with E, but we've been having a lot of problems with E, right? I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education. And I will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. And in the age of social media, E is getting battered. Your field service representative, who loves you very much, advises you to stay off of social media if you can, because it causes so many problems. It is so easy to be misinterpreted, and sometimes it's not even a matter of being misinterpreted. There's just information out there that is just not the board's work, but it's masquerading that way, whether you realize it or not. You're a part of a team. If you go on social media and start espousing your views on education or a particular issue, that may create the justifiable impression among any sensitive, normal thinking person that you're speaking for the board, but you're not unless you are reporting factually on what the board's work is. So this can be a really difficult needle to thread. And I'm not sure if it's worth like the, 15 thumbs up that you get for it. It's probably not. And again, social media usage has really been an issue here, right? Even with incendiary posts and non-incendiary posts, people get into trouble here and the whole district suffers. Because when you are found in violation by the School Ethics Commission of the School Ethics Act, your board loses points your district loses points on QSAC. The whole district suffers. The whole district is knocked down. So just be really careful before you post. I know that may sound a little harsh, but I mean it with every fiber of my body, friends. I mean, it's been rough. F, I used to just go right over, and I still can do it, but I will note that partisan politics have started to infuse local boards throughout the state, even in places where it hasn't been. But remember, you're put here to use your independent judgment, not to use partisan politics at all. Oh, look at that. It's gotten a little bigger on me. Oh, God. Okay. All right. This is quite a way to do this.
Two fingers and pinching.
I'm so sorry. I just am not adept at this. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Sorry, keep you on duty, man. All right, I can tell you, good old G, okay, thank you so much. G, very verbose, but it's all about keeping confidential matters confidential and telling the truth in all other matters, right? That's G. H, beautiful. Your superintendent recommends your hires. That's why we can have lay people on the board, right? I don't know how to hire a great teacher, but my superintendent does. So, my career was in banking. It's okay. I can vote for personnel appointments with confidence because they come with a recommendation of my superintendent, and you need it. And I is a beauty, right? I will support and protect school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. So when someone tries to get you into a conversation about how lousy this teacher is or coach or this or that, stay out of it. The Code of Ethics says you can't do it, and just let them know that ethically, I cannot participate in this conversation. I will also say that I dovetails beautifully with the last tenet in the Code of Ethics, if I can get it for you. And let's see, it is J, and that is that you will refer all complaints to the chief administrative officer, right? Following the chain of command, you will only act as a board on members after the failure of an administrative solution, right? Not the absence of an administrative solution, the failure, right? Not an unpopular administrative solution, not something that somebody doesn't like, but there's no solution and it has to go to the board. Your attorney will work you through that. But for quotidian matters, right? Teachers approaching you, parents approaching you with board business, no. You work through the chain of command. You work through the chain of command. If a teacher has an issue, that goes internally, not to the board. If a parent has an issue with their child's teacher, that goes to the teacher or the principal, not to the board. It works its way up. That's the system. It works, you know? And we don't really want to get involved in that stuff, but if we ever have to, our attorney will help us, right? So that's the code of ethics. That's the conflicts part of ethics. I am not going to advance through these slides because I'm really I just can't do it. I'm terrible at it, but I will tell you what's in the rest of this presentation, right? Volunteerism, be careful with that. One-time gigs in the school, chaperoning, no problem. But to volunteer more than that for the school can be an issue. You can't make it look like you work here. You can volunteer for other orgs that use the school, but not for Manchester Regional High School. Like you can't lead a particular club, right? You can't be the drama advisor. Well-intentioned as you might be, that's at odds, could be at odds with your role as a board member, right? Can't look like you're violating Dean. Can't look like you're trying to run the schools. I also want to tell you that the commission, and it's actually in the presentation, has noticed an uptick in squabbly ethics complaints. So, this code of ethics speaks to the heart of what you do as a board member. It's not meant for, little minor infractions, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So I know that Nancy printed out for your reorg, your acknowledgement of receipt and a red and black thing that said Code of Ethics Do's and Don'ts. And you should be putting that on your refrigerator. If you look at that every day or right before you go to a board meeting or before you go to a cocktail party where you know people are going to approach you, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be doing your great work. Because it's really important work that happens around this board table. You want to do it right. There's a lot of kids counting on you. So thank you very much for the time on the Code of Ethics. I know we wanted to talk about Robert's Rules as well. So I can give you some pointers. In your electronic packet, you will get a Robert's Rules cheat sheet, which has been pretty terrific. I have a whole presentation on that, but I'm going to spare you that. I didn't even bring that. But the heart of Robert's Rules is there's one motion on the table at a time. Your board president presides. He makes sure that everybody has a chance to speak who wants to speak, but in the proper order, right? When there's a motion on the floor, after it's second, the board president says, any discussion? You work through that. You speak to the board president, by the way, in Robert's Rules, so you have to speak to the meeting presider, right? Let him run the meeting. And then when discussion is over, roll call for a vote. Take the vote. This is majority rules, and then you move on. And that really dovetails with the Code of Ethics as well, because you're working as a team together with my fellow board members. Remember that was in there? If you're in the minority, and your fellow board members move forward with something that you don't really, you passionately argued against it, this or that, you engage in robust discussion around the days, but it doesn't go your way, you still have to support the work of the board. That's the Code of Ethics too. That's the Code of Ethics. And Robert's Rules keeps things orderly, right? It allows us to come to the table with passionate opinions and, discussion points in an orderly fashion, right? I will also say that public comment is not part of Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules applies to the board. Public comment is subject to your policy, right? X amount of minutes, one-way stream of comments to the board, and it's not a back and forth. It's not a discussion. The presider, if somebody is, let's say, attacking me, at a board table. You can ask me if I'd like to respond. I don't have to, but that's within your jurisdiction as the board president. You get to determine that, right? But again, your field service rep who loves you wants you to just keep in mind that public comment is really meant for public comment, not public dialogue. It can get very emotional. It can get very uneven if you engage in dialogue, because some people will ask questions that you just don't have the answers to. And it's difficult to address some questions and not all. So a best practice, of course, is to, have your sign-in sheet, and those who raise questions, you can get back to them after the board meeting. Because a lot of the things that come to light at public comment are district things, not board things, and are best addressed by your superintendent in any case. Does that sound like a good Robert's Rules primer? I mean, there's so much more to it, but those are the basics. Those are the basics. I'm wondering if you guys have any questions about the School Ethics Act, or the Code of Ethics, or your training, or disclosures, or anything. And I am here to help you. NJSBA is here to help you, so if you have questions, let us know. All right? Thank you for the time on the agenda. Thanks for letting
always
me
great having you, Kathy, and you make it nice and short, sweet and simple.
That was short, sweet. I know that was kind of painful, friends. You guys are really nice. Well, you know how you learn ethics? By living it. You don't learn it from me getting up here with my magic ethics wand, right? When you're going through something, you're like, which way do I go? Ask for help. We're here to help you, right? So, and I know you are a great leader for your board, Valdo, and I know you want what's right. So this is a strong board. I'm honored to help you guys. You guys, this district needs you. And I'm really gratified to see you guys taking your work so seriously. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
have a good night.
Thank you, Kathy, thank you for bringing us our superintendent,
Oh, my goodness.
because you were an integral part of that whole search, and we thank you for that.
One of the best things I've ever.
It certainly was.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. That means a lot. And I'll see you guys again. All right, be good.
County meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's rock and roll through this so we can hopefully all get home at a decent hour. Someone like to move prior minutes? Moved by Mr. Fisher, second by Mr. Barca. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Bayas?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes, but I want to abstain from executive session 1. I think that was the,
Okay. Mr. Fisher?
yeah.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Termanini?
Yes.
Yeah.
You skipped no.
I did. Mr. D'Agostani?
I always wait for you to be called.
Yeah.
Mr. D'Agostani?
Yes.
Mrs. Termanini? She's still
Yes.
there? Okay. And Mr. Panzara?
Yes. This time I'll take a motion to open the floor to the public on agenda items only. Moved by Ms. Baez, second by Mr. D'Agostani. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, anybody in the public wishing to speak on an agenda item? Here or virtual? I don't see any hands raised. I'll take a motion to close the floor. Motion by Mr. Barca, second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor? Anyone opposed? No. Thank you. Committee reports, we'll hand over to Mr. House.
Yes. Hi. Let's see. Student council, we just had, all right, I have notes, everybody. Let's see. We just had a lunch with Mr. Coviello. I was unfortunately sick, but I know my other members and student council had a lunch. They went over all the things that are coming up and all the things that have been going on with student council and with the school. And they talked it out and wondered how they could do anything better, how they could fix anything. And a lot got done there. Another thing is that we have penny wars going on, starting actually soon. with the PTSA. So that is going to be very fun, and I hope it'll boost a lot of like people into doing more with student council and PTSA and with the school spirit and everything. I feel like it would be a lot of help with just everything. We had karaoke night, which went very well. We worked with NHS for that, and that went very smoothly, very well. We had it here, and I heard a lot of people sing. I actually sang too, but it was great. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. House?
Yeah, what did he say?
I sang "Grenade" by Bruno Mars.
Can you get up and
No,
do
not
it? All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Mr. Labisco.
Sure. Thank you, and really, it was a wonderful open to our meeting. I wish we could always have student performances like that to start things off. That was great. And I thank our staff again for organizing all that. There's a lot of exciting things to share with you and updates. First, I see Miss Ala is still here, so I'd like her to share with us some exciting news we just received today about another potential programming addition for next year on top of visions that we just spoke to.
Well, as of like 3 hours, just got approved for our Project Lead the Way engineering grant. We got about, I think, $16,000 to cover us for the next 2 years. So we're going to start our engineering program next year.
And maybe just a little bit about what that'll look like. It'll start with 2 classes for students and grow to eventually 4, our hopes.
Yes, we're looking to hopefully start a 4-year program. Next year we'll start with Intro to Engineering, and then we're looking to make part 2, part 3, part 4. So our students can eventually leave here with some sort of engineering cert at the end. But we want to build the program and really build off of our STEM program. And this is a grant through Project Lead the Way that we can apply for every year that we have it.
Excellent.
Fantastic news.
Great work, and thanks for sharing that news.
Thank you.
We already spoke 2 visions, but just so you understand, this has been something we've been working on for a while, and we're really excited to take the next steps, but I thought it was important for the board to have the opportunity to ask questions. I really think that'll be something that will become kind of the fabric of what we do here, not only providing internships and opportunities for students, but teaming in the classroom for financial literacy. And then, of course, they didn't really go into it full, but what they do is they become a part of everything you do. So every event they go to, they have a table, they sponsor, they get involved. These are things, think about it. When we had the color run last year, we were having these conversations of what organizations can get involved. This will be part of everything we do. And it comes, again, at no cost to the district. So it's really an exciting opportunity and one that I think our students will benefit from. There's 2 lawsuits that I want to fill you in on. I know it's a scary word for everyone here, but these are on the positive side for us. The first was the Jewel lawsuit. If you recall, I've emailed you recently about the fact that a settlement offer is going to be coming soon. And the funds for that can be used for programming, anti-vaping programming, but also personnel. How much that's going to be, we don't know yet, but we're hoping that can help, obviously, with potential counseling. And there are some schools that used it for SRO as well to offset some of those costs. So we're hoping it can be plugged into there, and then vape detectors. So those are some areas that those dollars can be used. That same gentleman also reached out regarding a social media lawsuit. This is another one that his law firm is going for. It'll have the same criteria. So when I have a potential contract, I'll bring it to the board again. They're under that normal threshold, more in the 20%, as their portion. No cost to the board again, and those dollars can be used for mental health clinicians. So again, it's a win-win for us. It doesn't cost us anything. So as that gets a little closer, I'll share that with the board. So those could be 2 really nice opportunities to support mental health here in the building and anti-vaping. Talked about visions. You're going to talk about that grant, correct? The $350 million?
Yes.
Yeah. We've talked about this many times, but I finally have gotten a little bit of feedback on the state level from some of our representatives. School choice, we've been banging on that door for a while. For the last 10 years, they've locked in the number of choice students that you can receive and the funding you can receive. That is up for public comment finally. So sometime in the spring, they're going to allow us to submit public comment. We also have Assemblyman Wimberly that's been working with my office on hopefully putting together a strong argument to expand the opportunities for schools, because we have right now 104 students. It's been locked in at that number since the beginning. We'd like to expand that opportunity there for the choice program. We'll see where that goes.
You mentioned number of students as well as cost?
Absolutely.
Funding?
Both, yes. It's just the law itself is up for comment, so we're going to attack both angles. Absolutely. We had another session with Dr. Severns yesterday. This is that 2-year program we're doing, and our staff has been wonderful working with her, and she's come in to help us reorganize our QBAs and our data analysis, and the sessions have just been gaining momentum and getting better. So she was in the other day. And we also had a wonderful presentation right here in this room, led by Mr. Shalom, supported by Mr. Banta, in which we had both World War II veterans and relatives of Holocaust survivors speak. One of the gentlemen was 102 years old, World War II vet, who came in here to share with our students, and really moving and touching. And as we all know, I was a history teacher as well. There's one thing to talk about it, there's one thing to read about it, but to have it, someone who lived through it changes everything, and it impacted our students greatly. So we hope to continue programming like that. And last but not least, and we'll be having a more formal presentation for this, but I just wanted to let the board know that our unsung falcon this year is William Soto. William Soto is a tremendous student here. He's someone who's more than just his transcript. And what happened over this past summer was that, as you had asked, Ralph, he was part of the Passaic County Workforce Development Program, which is a summer internship. But he turned that into this year, also continuing his work in the custodial area here in our district. And he works practically every day here alongside Mike, and has done a tremendous job. And he hopes to continue, obviously, working here, but then servicing our school, and then going next year to Passaic County Community College. He's interested in art photography. So William, has done a real nice job and works alongside, Mike Gabriel, who's been here for a long time. Great guy. So thank you, William, and we'll have a more formal introduction and celebration for him.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Okay. Ms. Augustin.
Thank you. So just like Mr. Labisco had mentioned, I wanted to talk and update you guys on the $350 million grant that I've been talking about. The state finally released the applications that we can apply for. I've already spoke with the architect on some possible projects. They have the projects in categories of priority. They have a list of level 1 and level 2. After looking at some of the options, we tried to select several projects that were on level 1, so that at least they can look at our application and put us in that priority list. Some of the options that you can see that's on the resolution 9.9, we have the top list of security upgrades at Manchester, because I know we were discussing security upgrading the cameras. So this is something that we're looking to see if we can get some type of grant funding for. Environmental removal of at Manchester. This is mainly during our renovation for the auditorium and other construction areas, that see if we can get some of the asbestos costs covered through this grant. The other option is paving of the sidewalks. As everyone has experienced, coming up and down the hill, there is some TLC that needs to be done, and we're hoping that the state will look at that as an option for us. And the last on the priority list would be toilet renovations at Manchester, that we can possibly start looking at rotating and getting all of that done. The application is due May 1st, and I went to my roundtable this past week, and the state is not even going to look at the applications until May 1st. They want to receive all the applications, and they're going to sort them according to priorities. And if they get through priority list 1, they're not going to even look at priority list 2. So this is going to be a long time to kind of get a response, but at least we're actually able to submit the applications, and we have some really good projects that we can possibly be selected for. So we're looking forward to their response on that.
And the one thing, when we had our mid-year budget review, they were stressing is that when we talk about the tiers, they're gonna try to fund fully everything in tier 1 first. And so as much as we hate the potholes and such, that's a tier 2.
That's a tier 2.
So whether that funding is even available, we don't know. But security cameras and abatement are tier 1. So that will be the first round, and hopefully we'll get that. It's at a 40% clip. We'll fund it. So that would be quite a help.
The other item that's on the agenda tonight that I just wanted to point out is the resolution 9.11. This is the E-rate consultant contract. We've had a consultant many ago, but Pat and I decided to have a sit-down conversation with the E-rate consultant, because there has been a lot of new things that come up, and we just need some assistance in applying for some of the grants. We did find out that we missed some windows in between VAs that were not submitted. So we're trying to, with this consultant, to see if we can go back and do an appeal to receive those funds. But having this consultant on board would keep us on track with all the deadlines and all the paperwork. And they just seem to have a better connection with USAC, which is the E-rate company, and already they're making some strides. So this is going to be a good opportunity for us to continue to receive these grants on a timely manner. And the other item that's on here is resolution 9.12. This is custodial equipment that we budgeted for last year to purchase, and we're just approving the purchase because it's a pretty large amount. And that's it for me. If anybody has any questions.
No questions?
Thank you.
She did a good job. Okay, there are no committee reports. Would someone like to move personnel? Moved by Mr. Gonzalez, so I have a second.
I'll second.
Gonzalez. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call on personnel.
Mrs. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostani?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Terminini?
Yes.
And Mr. Panzera?
Yes. Education, would someone like to move it? Moved by
So moved.
Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Baez. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostani?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Terminini?
Yes.
And Mr. Panzera?
Yes. Finance, would someone like to move it? Ms. Gonzalez, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Fisher? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call. Finance.
Mrs. Baez?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes, but I'm gonna abstain from 9/11. Yes, for everything else.
Mr. D'Agostani? Mr. Fisher?
I'll abstain on the reimbursements for NJSBA workshop, and yes on everything else.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Terminini?
Yes.
I may recommend that you abstain from 9.13.
Okay, abstain. 9.13.
And Mr. Panzera?
Yes. Anything under older new, anyone older new business? Okay, hearing of citizens, I'll take a motion to open the floor to the public. Moved by Ms. Baez, second by Mr. D'Agostani. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Anybody in the public wishing to speak?
I don't really know how to, like, full address?
Just say Manchester's fine.
Sarah Sager, I'm Manchester employee. Mr. Fisher, congratulations. I know you and I spent many nights in this room at meetings for many hours. On behalf of the Manchester Education Association, I wanted to extend an invitation to you all. We are hosting on April 20th at Lemeads a beefsteak for our scholarship. If you don't know, we give a scholarship out every year to a graduating senior pursuing a degree in education or a related field like guidance counselors, case manager, CST, something like that. It's our first big event. We've done lots of little things. We have a vending machine in the teacher's room, but we're really excited about this. So if you're interested in purchasing tickets, please let me know. They're $85 a person, includes all the meat you can eat, and beer and sangria. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody in the public wishing to speak, please use the raise hand feature. I don't see it. I'll take a motion to close the floor. Motion by Mr. Barca. Do I have a second? Ms. Gonzalez? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. At this time, I will take a motion to go into executive session on 2 items. It should take approximately 15 minutes. No action will be taken, right? And
The first item is not an action item, or no? It's got an attachment? No?
No,
Okay.
just filling you in.
okay, no action will be taken. I'll take that motion. Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Baez. Roll call, or is it all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, everybody. Take a motion to come out of executive.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Baez. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, Mrs. Gonzalez, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Better not. Meeting adjourned at 9:55.